All right, your mic on, bro?
Yeah,
Because I know you
testing,
don't like to
testing,
put your mic on, man.
testing. Yeah, mic's on. Yeah, mic's on.
Yeah, Adam don't like to put his mic on. He just like to be talking.
I'm on now.
Yeah.
So we know a lot of you have personal credit card balances. That's the reality. We know what's going on in the real world. We know inflation is going crazy. We know that people are sometimes living maybe beyond their means, or maybe they're just having to use credit cards because their income ain't keeping up with what's going on in the real world.
Fact.
All those different issues are going on. But we understand that you still need to do things to be able to level up your life and move in the right direction. And one thing that can hold people back with their credit file or with their credit score is having high personal credit card utilization.
Right.
So we're going to talk about 3 different ways to be able to hide your personal credit card utilization and why and how to be able to make all of it work. So.
Exactly, man. And this is one of the biggest things to hiding your credit card utilization or your balance, I would say, is a business credit card. That's the one first thing. Not a lot of people can get it, and not a lot of people have it. And a lot of people that does have it, but don't know how to really use it properly. So why I say that is that one thing is that when you leverage your credit, right? You can leverage your credit and you can leverage your personal to your business.
Correct.
So when you have a business credit card, you can always do a balance transfer from your personal to that business credit card to then hide it. How that actually works is that you take the balance from your personal, you put it on your business, and then when that next statement comes, your credit score goes up. You hide it in the utilization. So your utilization, say for instance, it was at 80%, now it's down at 2%, 3%, or however much you had left on that card, or however much you used that it actually reported that statement date. Now, that's actually really important because if you have a high utilization on your personal, there's no chance in the world that you can go ahead and get another credit card from someone else, or even try to up the limit on that particular one too as well. So that's why hiding it.
Great point.
That's why hiding it within the business credit card is really phenomenal, and it has a lot of perks. But like I tell people all the time, is that you want to know why you're doing it. People say people would do it just to hide it, but then you still have to pay it. You know what I mean? It's not like you just hide it and then it goes away on your personal, but then you still have to pay it back. But that would give you some time to figure out, okay, let me go ahead and leverage this. So if I had a $4,000 limit, it's down to 0. I could call and say, hey, look, I want to go ahead and get this amount to 8,000. Then they'll go ahead and be like, oh, okay, well, all the payment histories is good, everything is good and structured. Well, let's go ahead and give this person 8,000. We know they're good for it. Boom. So now that would give you a chance to leverage it. And we always talk about here at Driata is that the first thing is that when you leverage your credit, you know what I mean? You don't have to use it. When you have it, it's okay to have it.
Understand what he's about to say to you guys. Understand. Understand what he's about to say.
Exactly.
You don't say that again.
So when you leverage your credit, your personal, you don't have to use it. You can leverage it in case if you need it. So it's one thing to prepare, so you don't have to get prepared.
Facts.
One thing about it is that, say for instance, you need $7,000, right? And you don't have $7,000. What you gonna do? Now your mind is going, you gotta scramble. You gotta do this. I gotta do this. Oh shoot, I gotta figure out how to do this. But now, guess what? If you had $10,000 sitting on ice and you need that $7,000, now you can go ahead and say, well, shoot, I can go ahead and use this. If that's $7,000 that I'm investing in is going to give me money back. So now you have different ways to actually maneuver and not play this game so hard. But people think like, damn, I got that 10,000. I'm gonna use that 10,000. And then when that 10,000, you're like, damn, what did I use it on?
This is about,
and then you put yourself back into, and because you still got your business credit card that still need to be paid off. Now this one is open. Now you stuck. You know what I mean?
You put yourself in a worse spot than what you should have been because you chose not to be responsible. And that's really what DeAndre's saying. Have responsible people. We're adults. We're talking to adults right now.
Yeah.
Those banks are treating you like an adult. Those lenders are treating you like an adult. Treat yourself like an adult.
Yeah, exactly.
So now you have access to these things. You've utilized it for a certain reason, but now when opportunities arise, you're able to strike immediately. Ask yourself, me and him are speaking from personal experience with all these things that we say or things that our clients come to us with. Think about how many opportunities in your life you missed simply because you didn't position yourself to have the capital to take advantage of it.
Exactly.
We all know about when whatever it was, if it was when Netflix came around or when Uber came around or when all these different companies that we know are booming now came around, and we knew it was going to be a good idea.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the funds maybe to take advantage of opportunities to invest in those companies.
Exactly. That's a smart thing. So that's one way of business credit cards, so you can utilize it in a good way.
Yeah.
But we can actually go ahead and talk about that more too as well. You can actually join our Discord. We actually got a Discord actually.
Yes.
And if you have any questions,
cut. Well, this is where the guy comes out in the middle that you hate when it comes to the sponsorship and all the nonsense. No, this is us talking to you still. Discord is literally live. So go ahead and if you want to tap into the Discord,
or message us below, because we're gonna have it in the comments below. But you can actually then just if you want to go ahead and write in the comments, how did I join or whatever the case. Hey, hit us up, you know. And
it's gonna be all types of stuff going on in there that we can't talk about yet, but it's gonna be a great community. So we're actually answering y'all call, because a lot of y'all reached out to us asking us about having a Discord or a Patreon. So that's where the Discord came from.
It's for the community.
Yep.
It's for our community. Man.
Before I even go on to the next one with DeAndre and the final one, what I do want to say quickly is, I know some of you might be like, well, what exactly is utilization? What exactly is, you know what your balances are? So we all know what personal credit card balances are, right? Mm-hmm. Utilization is your balance compared to your overall limits. And if you look at the way that our credit score is weighted, it's about 30% is tied to your credit card utilization. And you really want to keep it underneath 30% when you're not going for funding.
Yep.
If you want to leverage your personal credit for funding, you really want to be under about 4 or 5% in all reality. That's the sweet spot, about 4%.
I say 10%. Yeah. I mean, but 4 or 5% would actually be
the lower the better, showing a little bit of usage, a little bit. So, but anywhere below that 10 is going to be sweet. You want to optimize it, go below 5 somewhere, and then you're going to be good. But I want to at least share that. So that's the difference between you hear people saying maybe, or you looking at your personal credit card balance, but then when you look at your credit report, or you log into, let's say, even if you're using Credit Karma and you see credit card utilization, it's literally your open balances compared to what the overall limit is when it comes to that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then go ahead and actually touch on the second point.
The second point is going to be a little different. It's a personal loan. So you going and applying and getting approved for a personal loan. So let's just give a quick example on what I mean by that. You got $5,000 in personal credit card balances that are out, and let's say your limit is $6,000. So your utilization is very high, way higher than it needs to be. But you might not have access to pay that card down to under 10%, but you want to go get some credit card funding. Maybe you want to boost that limit of that credit card. I can go to probably the same lending institution that I have that credit card at and apply for a $5,000 personal loan.
Okay.
They're going to look at my personal loan history or revolving account history, and they're going to look at that. They're going to look at my revolving account history. They're going to look at my personal loan history. I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
I thought so. Yeah. All right, I'm about to confuse myself. So you go ahead. Look, we're real. So go ahead, and I want to make sure I'm not confusing anybody.
Yeah.
So they're going to look at your personal credit cards that you have open still. They're going to look at your personal loans that you have. So when they go to approve you for that personal loan, they're not going to take into account a lot of the personal credit cards. If you even remember applying sometimes for personal loans, they ask you what's it for.
Yeah.
One of the options is to consolidate credit card debt.
Yeah.
So they understand that is an option. But now you get approved for the personal loan. Personal loan now you use to pay off your personal credit card. Now your personal credit card balance goes down, your utilization goes down, and your score also goes up.
I also want to ask you a question. Now, is the personal credit card, not the personal credit card, but personal loan, is it revolving or
no? It's not revolving.
Okay.
And that's big. Okay. And that you want to explain that to him? Explain the difference between that.
I'll go ahead and actually
the personal loan is not revolving, and DeAndre explained why that's important.
Yeah. So the reason why is that it's not revolving is because of the fact that It's a personal loan that you get. Whenever that personal loan is paid off and fulfilled, it just closes out.
So
that's it.
So think about revolving, just like a merry-go-round revolves.
Yep.
You pay it off,
Yep.
it stays open.
So
you pay it off, and it just keeps on.
And that's why a lot of people like credit cards, because of the fact when you pay it off, you can keep using it.
Yep.
You keep using it. You keep using it.
But think about a loan.
A loan,
it's over.
It's kind of like your car loan.
Correct.
When you in the car loan, don't start back over again.
Yeah, you can't call up. You can't call up Capital One and say, "Hey, I paid off that car loan.
Exactly.
I want to go get a new car." And they're gonna say, "Oh, no." They're saying, "We're gonna start over again. We're gonna give you a whole new process."
Those loans are what's not revolving, but it can help you in a lot of ways.
Yep.
So if you want to get that personal credit funding, those things you can hide it on the loan aspect.
Correct.
Because now they're not going to factor in when you go ahead and apply for a credit card.
Correct.
They're not going to look at your personal loan. They're going to look at your credit card, because all those things are different. You got your credit cards, you got your personal loans, you got your mortgages, and then you also have your auto loans too as well. Those all are different factors. So if I want to go ahead and actually apply for a credit card, but my credit card utilization is too high, I'm not going to get it.
Correct.
But if I want to go ahead, and even though that my credit card utilization is heavy on the high end, but I have great paid off auto loans, like I have 4 or 5 of them that's paid off, fulfilled, I can go ahead and actually my auto loan credit is going to be a lot different than what you see on the average credit cards. And that's another a thing that people don't really realize. We had a client, and we're going to post up some receipts on that. We had a client that actually came to us and was trying to get her credit fixed. But what happened is that her credit really need to get fixed, even though it was actually low, like a 580, to get a car loan. Now you might ask me, damn, why would she not get it, fixed? Because her car loan credit history was a lot more than what was showing on her credit report. It may show a 580, but on her car credit was like a 660, 670.
So think about it. Think about it this way. This just came to me, and I think you used this analogy previously. Imagine these different things that DeAndre mentioned. If it's mortgages, if it's auto loans, if it's credit cards, if it's loans, all are different classes in school. Imagine when you was in elementary school and you had math, science, gym, geography, and after 2nd grade, you're moving on to 3rd grade, right? And let's say you did awful in science, but all your other ones are okay, and then gym is phenomenal.
They're gonna put you in boom boom science.
Next year, when they look at that, they're gonna say, no, we're not gonna hurt him when it comes to physical education because he has a bad science grade. We're gonna, obviously, science needs work next year, but we're gonna be able to still promote them and advance them in other ways. So think about it the same way. You may have
your credit card, on your credit report.
You may have bad things on your credit report, but it's just one category, and if you're not looking to utilize that one category,
it's not necessarily bad.
Exactly.
The only thing that is actually hindering you to get a credit card is the utilization, because the history is good.
Perfect. Was phenomenal. Her history was phenomenal.
Oh, history is phenomenal. Credit score, the reason why it was down because of the high utilization, because the high utilization plays a big part in your credit report. But she was still able to get a 7% on 72 months on a car loan. You know what I'm saying? Because if that person had a 580, but she had missing payments, this and that, then she won't be able to qualify for a car loan. That's a big thing that we fail to realize. If you got great history on everything, you've been paying up on everything, but it's a little high, but the personal car loans and everything was paid off. That's how we was able to go ahead and actually still get her qualified and get her funded at a great rate, especially because rates are freaking crazy right now, man.
So all she was worried about was rolling. She needed a new vehicle.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, let's say she turned around to us in a week and wants to get funding and wants to get business credit card funding. At that point, we would need to talk to her about these things we're talking about in this video. Because now we're going to have to make sure that her personal credit card utilization is in order, so that now she can leverage that going onto the business side, or if she just wants to expand her personal credit card balances or get new personal credit cards.
Exactly.
So that's the second one. Number one was business credit cards. We know everybody might not have access to that right now, but you're watching us so you can. That's what we help people do. Second is obviously the personal loan. The third one is a little hybrid. It's getting other personal credit cards, at least one, that are similar to the limit that you already have. or just utilizing and leveraging another personal credit card that you already have. So you may need to open a new credit card if you can, or you may need to go ahead and have access to one. So what do I mean by that?
Yeah,
so
what you mean
let's
by
say
that,
somebody,
man? I was just about to ask
a lot of people have multiple credit cards already. Is that safe to say? So this is really who this is for, right? Because if you have high utilization, only have one card, it's going to be hard to get a personal credit card. That's the reality. So a lot of you already have multiple personal credit cards, right? So let's say on one of your credit cards, you have a situation where maybe you have, let's say, I'll keep numbers simple, $5,000 limit, right? And then you have another credit, but it has a $5,000 balance too. Then you have another credit card that, let's say maybe it's a brand new credit card, or maybe it's a credit card you have for a while and just haven't utilized yet. And that has a $5,000 limit as well, right? So now your utilization on paper is 50%. You have $10,000 in limits, but you have a $5,000 balance that is reporting on your credit report. One of your cards is also maxed out. Credit card companies and banks are going to look at each individual account. So even if you might get lucky and maybe sometimes get approved with a 50% utilization, the odds of you getting approved for a 50% with a 50% utilization and having one of your cards maxed out is very low.
Very low.
Very low.
And it's always,
now, if you have it spread out between different cards, that looks better. Now you look high risk because all they're saying is, oh, they maxed this one out already. The next one that's about to be maxed out is that one that doesn't have a balance yet. And the next one is the one that we're going to approve them for. And they're going to max that out on us too. And we don't want that. That's not responsible. So here's a way to be able to kind of go around that and hide your personal credit card utilization. So remember, you have two credit cards, one $5,000 limit, $5,000 balance, one $5,000 limit, zero balance. But they both report and the payment dates are very similar and close to each other. What a lot of people don't realize is that they can call up their bank or lending institution and ask to change their payment date. By changing the payment date, you're going to change the reporting date. So you want to stagger them about 2 weeks apart.
Yes, sir.
Now they're staggered 2 weeks apart. Follow what I'm saying here. You take the credit card and let's just keep numbers simple. You got one that's due on the 1st of the month and one that's due on the 14th of the month, right? The one that's due on the 1st is the one that's maxed out. The one that's due on the 14th has no balance, nothing, right? You literally can call up the bank for this card down here, ask for a balance transfer, and balance transfer the entire balance to this card. Now, when this card reports on the 1st or 2nd or 3rd, a few days after the payment date, it's going to show that it has a zero balance because it's now paid off. Now, what you do is wait for this one to report first. And as soon as it reports, call up this bank and do the balance transfer back. And you do that before this one is due.
So all you ultimately doing, all you ultimately doing is using their money and using their methods to hide your
and you're literally just bouncing back and forth. Now, disclaimer, most credit cards have balance transfer fees. Understand that. So I want to be clear here, and this is why the responsible side and knowing why you're doing something is important that DeAndre prefaced everything with.
You want to know why you're doing it,
because you want to know why you're doing it.
Yeah, if you're a person that just keeps doing that back and forth, you'd be paying all your money and fees.
Yeah, that's not going to make sense. You're just paying fees for no reason.
You know what I mean? So you got to realize why you're doing it. Okay, I'm doing it so I can hide it. So once they're hiding, then I can go ahead and say, hey, look, I'm looking to get X, Y, and Z. Because once you pull your report, it's going to only show both of those being at zero, but you still have a balance on that amount. But then they're going to be like, oh, well, they got zero on both cards. We can go ahead and approve this person for X, Y, and Z.
Correct.
So now you're using their money, using their methods, and using their statement history. And that's why it's just a game. It's all it is, just a game.
That's a great method to use when you're going for personal funding on the credit card side or any side.
And make sure you have a little bit of money to pay that fee.
Yes.
That's all.
Outside of that, those lending institutions as well. Exactly. Because remember, they can still see that you have a balance in-house at that bank.
But not at another.
Another bank ain't going to know it all because all they're looking at is your credit report. But whatever card issuer or bank you transferred that balance to most recently, they're going to be able to see that you have a balance with them. It's just not reporting to your credit report. Now you can go, let's just hypothetically say, we know we love Navy Fed, we love Penn Fed, but now let's say you go to Truist, perfect example, and now Truist just looks at your credit report and they see, oh, 2 $5,000 credit cards, and they both have zero balances. Perfect. We're going to approve this person for maybe a $10,000 credit card.
You know, man, that's what is so powerful to when you realize and you have that information and you have that. Now you can know how to manage and do different things with it, what you have. All you're doing is using what you have to work with at this particular time. And that's all we're trying to do. Because if you're a person that don't really have it like that, there's always different ways to get things accomplished. Go ahead.
No, that's a phenomenal point. And I wasn't even going to say this. DeAndre talked this into me. And this is a whole nother sidebar. This is why having people who are like-minded around you is so important, because you can literally iron sharpens iron. There's a whole nother tangent. We'll talk about that some other day. But my point that I was going to say was this. He mentioned earlier being prepared. He also mentioned what he just said, right? So here's a way for some of you watching this, literally have multiple credit cards. If you are planning and preparing and looking ahead and being responsible, you can literally say, okay, well, let me start to make sure I'm raising the limits on certain credit cards that I'm not using right now. So in the future, God forbid, I have a higher balance on some of these cards. Now I can go and utilize and make these moves immediately, rather than wait until you have the high balance and now maybe your utilization overall is so high you can't get no limits raised. Now you can't even get out of the situation that you're in, but you can literally prepare yourself now. So
prepare yourself for the worst. It's the same thing when people carry guns.
Correct.
Because they don't use them every day.
Correct.
You're not going to use.
They hope to never have to use it.
Hopefully, you never have to use it
in public.
But at the end of the day,
God forbid.
If you need to use it, you got it. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing with life, and that we fail to realize. So that's the biggest thing when you talking about having high credit card utilizations or even leveraging it. Or moral of the story is how to hide your utilization of your balances, and that ties in with a lot of things in life. But I mean, as always, thank y'all for joining our community, Dre Out Consultants. Please like, subscribe, comment. We are free to take every comment there is. If you feel like you are missing something and you don't know anything, please ask the question. We can get a video.
We love the questions. Yeah, like
we love it. We thank y'all so much too as well. But like we said, there's going to be our new video, and we just got our Discord up. So if anybody are interested in getting into our Discord and want to know more information about it, please comment below. It is going to be in our comments. But like always,
we got some fun stuff coming. We got some stuff. Yeah. But as always, Dreada.
Appreciate y'all. Yes, sir.